Hello, my name is Emily Snowden. I live in Kyoto, Japan, which is in the West, and I work freelance. I'm a jack of all trades. I do all sorts of things from translation, narration, uh, children's language education, but my heart lies in visual art and poetry, which I am actually hoping to have a book published quite soon. I have a daughter, she's 13 years old. She's very excited about beginning her menstruation, her menarche, and we're kind of talking about that often. And yeah, she just wants to start really quickly. I never had that experience of really excited to start my period, but yeah, it's great that she is. The challenges I experienced before beginning to honour my menstrual cycle was a slight confusion, I suppose. I didn't really receive from my family, my mother or my sister or all my peers really, any kind of advice or support about what it really meant to have your menstrual cycle. When I began, I remember I was 13 years and 8 months old when I started, and I was at home, and yeah, I bled a lot. And my mother was really gracious about it. She just gave me some pads, and it was all, it was no fuss. But at the same time, there's no real conversation about it. But at the same time, as time went by, we do talk about it. I went to boarding school, and we all often synchronized in our cycles. So we'll be like, oh, I'm on my period, and but it didn't sound very positive. But I wanted it to be positive, and yet I felt like it wasn't at the same time. So yeah, there was that kind of conflict and confusion. PMS, I got really grumpy, but I didn't know why until after I started my period. I was like, oh yeah, of course I was grumpy because I was about to start my period. But it was mainly confusion. Well, often how I felt was kind of disconnection between my body and my emotion. My mind will also be influenced by others as well, to say that it's a drag. It's not. Why do women have to be on the periods and things like that? So I mean, like I said earlier, there was the conflict and the confusion, but also there's this disconnect, and that made me quite sad because since I was young, I've really felt that the body, mind, and spirit wasn't, they were integral to each other. They weren't separate from each other, and yet society seemed to say that they were separate. I gave birth to my daughter at the age of 24, and so throughout my pregnancy and early years of motherhood, I became more and more aware of the feminine body, the womb, and I really wanted to be even more aware of the potential it has to be able to kind of communicate with your body and to honor it. Started to read about various traditional Japanese practices of menstruation, and learned that often, the farmers and the city workers, like geishas, they would, tighten their muscles of their vulva and hold in the blood for a few moments until they were in a place where they could just release it all. And that felt really not only practical, but really amazing. Like, I didn't know the body was capable of doing that. The whole wonderful Google maze brought me to Diana's work, and it really resonated with me. And there was a course available, and I was really eager to take part in it. And that was a real turning point, actually. So what shifted since working with Diana was that the shift was mainly from wanting to honor my body and my feminine self to actually honoring it. So, there was this desire and this thirst to feel really part of this body that I was gifted. But then taking Diana's course allowed me to really accept that and not just want it, but to actually have that experience. And that's continued to this day, especially during the menstrual, especially while I'm menstruating. I'm really, really tuned into my body at that time and really honoring my body and myself and the whole world through this release. And that's been quite an amazing experience every month, and I'm really grateful for that. Yes, the shift from wanting to actually having also allowed me to feel a great tenderness and love for myself, which I was always quite judgmental towards myself and therefore very judgmental towards others as well. And that really kind of melted away. I mean, I do have judgments still, of course, but there's a real tenderness to a lot of how I feel these days, which came as a surprise, but also an amazing thing. Also, I feel the presence of my ancestors a lot now, and not just my female ancestors, but my male ancestors too. And I feel it a lot all the time. And whether that's a direct result from Diana's work, I'm not sure, but there are, with the female ancestors, definitely. I've always felt my male ancestors, but since Diana's work, I've been really feeling my female ancestors' presence and strength and support. And yeah, it's been pretty wild and not expected at all. Today, I am the mother of a 13-year-old teenage daughter, and I am now 37. I am enjoying my everyday life experience more than ever, and also really listening more to my needs, and also resting when I need to rather than just going. But I also, have the engine on when I know that this is the time to get things done. So every day is really exciting, and I appreciate the small things. Well, I've always appreciated the small things, but I appreciate them even more now. Physically, some of the shifts I've experienced since honouring my feminine body is, well, before honouring it, the first 10 years of starting my period, I had really long, dragging, like 1 week long periods, and I'll be bleeding a lot. And now and again, I'll have cramps. Sometimes, usually not unbearable, but there were a few moments, a few days in the year in which I was in a lot of pain. But after I started to honour my cycle, the pain was pretty much gone. And of course, I looked forward to my period more, and the amount of bleeding might have been the same, but it was really condensed into just a few days. Just, yeah, it's a real intense release, and it feels cathartic and healthy. Not just, yeah. I think it's also connects with how you emotionally relate to the cycle as well. I suppose when I was younger, it was a drag, so it dragged on, and now it's like, hey, done it.